Three, two, one. How's it going, guys? Jacob Rothenberg here, and today on the channel, we're actually doing an interview, and I am here with Steven Seril. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing fantastic. It's nice to be here. Nice to be on your podcast.
Yeah, awesome, man. Hey, so for those who don't know, you are a newly self-published author that's going to be hitting worldwide with your upcoming book that's already a bestseller with the pre-orders. So what is this? What's this all
Yes,
about? It's a big
this is
book too.
the destroyer of worlds.
Okay,
The
well, I
destroyer of worlds, an answer to every question.
so I've noticed it's not your standard 5x8 paperback. It's huge. So what is this
It
all
is
about,
huge.
man?
It's not the most obnoxious cover, the most obnoxious title, the
Yeah.
most obnoxious formatting, and the trim size is obnoxious too. Everything had to be different. This is 8.5 by 11 inches, and
Wow.
my inspiration for this was I thought back to the things that I used to read as a kid, and those were things that were not proper literature. They were things like strategy guides, the kinds of things that would come with games, comics, those kinds of things. So me and my artist Lucas, we based the front on kind of a video game-ish theme, like the video game arcade font, and we did the back as a almost like a VHS tape. So you got like some, like the classic VHS tapes.
Of
We actually
course.
looked at
Yeah.
the VHS tape for Titanic, Jurassic Park, uh, Braveheart. The old classics from the '90s, and we were just like trying to replicate that that effect. So we had a lot of fun. It's a book like no other, and I want people to know that.
It's a book like no other.
Sorry to
And
go on a
yeah, it's all good. I just know all about the promotion on this. You've got several celebrities endorsing this book. You've got so many
wow.
people hyping this up. Like it's already a bestseller. Who's the most famous celebrity that's promoting this right now?
It was the number 9 bestseller in one category, number 10 in another category, number 43 in another, and it was the number 1 hot new release in religious science fiction and fantasy, which is actually a surprisingly competitive category. And if I could find a less competitive category, it would help. I've had other people look into it. I had VAs look into that. You know, I really want to win that category though, because people are actually shopping it. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like a dead category.
Oh,
You got all the Left Behind books. You got all the Amish books in there.
yeah, and
um,
you're in the pre-order phase,
I
so you'll continue to climb
yes.
once you actually go live and this thing's released and you get reviews coming in. Um, so that's good. One thing I wanted to ask you though, you're very much into influencer marketing. Who's the most famous celebrity promoting your book
Yes.
right now?
Officially promoting.
Yeah.
She's. I mean, Amy Jo Johnson is reading it. That's no guarantee she will actually review it.
And for those who don't know,
Melissa
Amy Jo
Gilbert is
Johnson's
reading
the
it.
Pink Ranger from Power Rangers.
The OG Pink Ranger, one of the most legendary Power Rangers, if not the most legendary Power Ranger, next to possibly or tied with the White Ranger slash Green Ranger. Yeah.
Tommy.
Um, Tommy. Yeah. Yeah. Who Omar Isov is like in love with this guy. With you can tell that's what he used to watch.
Everyone loves the Green
He's
Ranger.
deadlifted what 600 pounds.
Yeah, he's the villain that we never deserve.
Omar Isov. Yes, they did him right in the Power Rangers Dino Thunder. They did a little homage to him. They did the another White Ranger, and he was very Trent, and he was awesome. He's probably one of my very favorites. Anyways, not to get sidetracked. I also have Melissa Gilbert possibly reading it, who was Laura in Little House on the Prairie, which this book has a whole section paying respects to. You get my dinosaur character experiencing some hyper-religious prairie people. It's pretty funny and
Okay.
entertaining and very, very heartwarming, actually. And uh, oh, she was also a Democratic candidate for Congress and the president of the Screen Actors Guild. Um, do you want me to keep going off of? Most of them have worked for agents who don't want them to specifically endorse products in general,
Okay.
not without a huge taking a huge cut. So what they a lot of them do because they're sweet and they love the idea of the story. For example, David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, loves the idea of this kind of science fiction novel. Um, outside the box science fiction novel. In fact, it's a lot like Metal Gear Solid in a lot of ways. I'm crazy like Kojima is. Kojima has no filter. He will just have your cyborg ninja. So what is uh you'll have a character who's like a quadruple agent, like Revolver Ocelot,
Or Eva.
but
Yeah.
yeah, or Eva or something like that. What was I going to say? I was going to say there are people who I'll have Lily Aspen, who was the young Wonder Woman, very soon, giving a shout out to my book. Um, that was really special because in 5 days, her name is going to be humongous because she's going to be front and center along with Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman 84.
Awesome.
So she's going to be one of the most searched names in the world probably when that movie comes out because I feel like the movie will probably focus a lot on young Wonder Woman slash young Diana. So you know what I mean. So there was good marketing from that standpoint, and her and her agent were really nice. Usually when I work with agents, they say, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, and you can't say this.
Right.
Not without us getting a cut. So it's been very hard. I've had to negotiate, and it's um, it's been great. Sorry, am I boring you? I'm
No,
going
no,
on
no,
a
no. I'm just
ramble
thinking
rumble.
thinking with that, like with the use of influencer marketing and having celebrities endorse your title, what overall impact have you seen with regards to pre-orders, sales, and hype? Like, has it really made a difference for you?
Each one I would say half a dozen, so maybe 5 or 6 books when the video comes out or when the post goes out on Facebook, Twitter. I don't have a much engaged Instagram. But Facebook and Twitter have been good.
Yeah.
And then I can boost the Facebook posts and the Twitter. I don't boost Twitter so much anymore because it's a waste of money, in my opinion. But Facebook usually does good. In fact, most of my sales are either coming from Facebook groups, the Facebook page, or from reaching out directly to people through emails and tweets, not tweets, direct messages. Um, so that's kind of how it's been working. So if you're asking, is the return on investment there yet? I would say no. But I will say I have those videos, I have those posts, I have the screenshots, and I can share that indefinitely until the end of until I'm heaven forbid passed away, until there's no one's taking those things from me. They can make a splash, they can make another splash, they can make 100 more splashes from today on. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
always have that in my pocket. So my idea. So what I've been doing since late September, near the end phases of editing, is I started gathering these influencers, talking to them, asking them to say or talk about or share certain things about me or my book, and I've been saving them up, and releasing them incrementally. And my goal is to do this to continue to do it incrementally, release them in a cycle. And I think that a lot of them will have a second and third wind. And the second and third wind, as my book's popularity grows, and as my author brand grows, my second and third wind and fourth winds will be much bigger, I feel. I'm pretty confident in that. You know, the the performance has impressed me so far. I'm at around 200 sales now. Now the goal right now, when I last talked to you, I was at 11, I think 10 or 11 or 12, they say a dozen sales, something like that.
Yeah.
So I've sold about 200 more books since we last talked, which is something.
So if I may
But
ask, 200
yeah,
sales, is that with the ebook version, or how are you
ebook
getting started?
exclusive. Um, just the ebook, really.
Okay, so and
Pre-order.
what is your ebook priced at?
It's at $1 or zero 99 cents. Yes.
Okay, and then obviously this is something that's got a great looking cover,
Yeah.
front, and it's 8 by 11. How much are you going to retail the paperback for?
um, I right now, if you want to ask me honestly on KDP, what it's listed at right now, like the draft is listed at $7.10 right now, but it's probably going to be between 10 to 15.
I would price that at 15, man. You're giving
Yeah.
away an 8.5 by 11, 200-page book. It's got great
Uh,
content. Don't sell it short.
440 pages.
440. Do you know
Yeah,
your cost of production on this is likely going to be around
$6 they
six
told me.
dollars, $6 to $7? Like you can't sell it for $10, man. You need to make some money.
Or would you? How? What about the first weeks of release?
14.99.
14.99.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there you can increase it to 20, 25,
I'll
maybe.
probably. I really want to try not to get it, but um, I don't want to get it past 20. That's for sure. I was really afraid that because of the book's length, uh, and that it might be in color, but it's not.
Oh yeah,
Um,
do not do color on this one.
yeah.
Else you won't be able to sell it.
Oh, sell the.
Color interior will exponentially spike up the cost of production, and it'll
Yes.
be where you're having to sell at $40 for some meaningful return on your investment.
There was a New Zealand publishing company that was interested in this manuscript, and they were very interested, but they were trying to get me to do some funky things with the book, including basically transforming it into more of a like a what do you call a graphic novel and increasing the price to, like you said, almost $40. I think it was like $36.
Right. So they wanted some creative control. They want to price out your book, and then their royalty split deal is probably something that's very against you, I would imagine.
I think it was about 50% or so. It was
50?
pretty high. I think so. It was pretty high. I forget exactly what. Um, but it was mostly creative control that I was concerned with. And also, I don't think they had the best interest of me or my book in mind.
Yeah.
Just from talking to them, you can kind of sense this about people when they care or not, or when they care about your success or making money or not. Them making money or not. So
Well, sometimes it's a little obvious if people have their own interests vested very
mm.
much ahead of yours, and sometimes they should work on masking that. Yeah, I think self-publishing is very liberating in the fact that you've got complete control. You're getting a decent royalty from your distributor that you're working with, and also you're just much quicker overall in the overall process of releasing a book. Just because there's so much bureaucracy with a
Mhm.
publishing house, it can take months or even a couple of years before your book gets published. Whereas with KDP, for instance, it just takes a few mouse clicks to get any work you want published on the internet.
I mean, I hear you and amen to that because that's exactly how I felt. Um, you know, I was dreading since I began this project 20 years ago, like literally when I was a kid, I was writing drafts of this thing. I was dreading, um, there are going to be so many literary agents and publishing houses that do not like what I'm going for, don't want to take a risk on this kind of book,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of outside the box crazy book. And I don't want to jump through these hoops for 10 more years or 5 more years even. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you
I
something.
wanted to, hit the ground running.
I think it's
Yeah.
very honorable and something that people should really embrace. That you're going out on your own, doing something that could be considered crazy, but it's original, it's fresh, it's uncharted territory. And even for myself, like for people don't know this, first time I'm going to admit this, I'm doing keyword research for 2021, and I'm thinking I don't want to do what
Yes.
everyone else is doing, even though there are ways to make money that's, calculated and safe and predictable, and that's fine. I want to take a chance on something that's fun and I can be passionate about and still make some money. So I think kudos to you for just going out on your own. And it looks like you've got a Lugia Pokemon battle on the front of your cover. But if that's what you want to
Can
do,
I?
and that's what makes you happy, go for it. So what? Who cares what other people think?
Oh, we got. Well, I agree with you. I was gonna say, I got Azure, my main protagonist, and Ein, my main antagonist,
Looks
fighting
like a
around
legendary
what
Pokemon
looks like a
battle.
galaxy,
Yeah.
galactic center. There's a lot of when you read the book and you get to the end, you'll see how special this universe, this galaxy they're fighting in really is. It's kind of like there's a lot of like really cool Easter eggs in the book, but I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that. It's taken a lot of courage and bravery for me to do what I'm doing, and it takes for everyone who's self-publishing, or anyone who's putting out their intellectual content in general. For me, like someone who fights anxiety, I mean, I don't want to. A lot of us have our own anxieties and stuff, but for me, being on stage is one of my biggest anxieties. Um, Sharing personal information or sharing with people is one of my big anxieties, and one of my biggest anxieties with this book release is what will the critics think? We live in a world where you are one sentence, one statement, one phrase away from CNN saying this person is homophobic or anti-Semitic or transphobic or hateful of one race or another, or this person's not a good person, misogynist or whatever. Like you are literally in this world we live in, one statement or one word away from being accused of any one of or of those or a million other things. And I've tried my best to be careful in my book, in making it a very fair and very accessible book. But my goal was not to pander to any group of anyone of any ideology or any religion or any race or any of that. Like, it was to write a good story. That was my goal. And I think too often, I don't want to get too crazy with this, but I think too often today people want to be safe. They want to write a safe story. They want to write a cookie cutter story. And this story is not that. This story is anything but. You'll see how racist these dinosaur characters are to each other. It's pretty fascinating. It's going to be very interesting for people to read that. um, and they're not dinosaurs. They look like dinosaurs or not. Um, I don't know why I decided to go on that tangent. I guess it was very important to me. What I'm saying is I wanted to be able to tell my story and not to have all these restraints on it and to not have to jump through a million, thousand hoops, trillion hoops,
I think that reviewers are either going
like
to,
I would with a literary agent or a publishing house.
yeah, I lagged a bit.
Sorry, did you cut
Sorry.
out?
Yeah, I cut out.
It's
I
okay.
think that reviewers are going to find your work very polarizing. I predict you're going to get the most
Mm.
amazing 5-star reviews for those who love your work, and then likewise, you're probably going to get some people that are indifferent or just think that just the book is whack, that it's crazy. So just
Yes.
embrace the 5-star reviews that will come in. I'm sure that you will get 5-star reviews for your work, and just continue to serve your audience. I imagine this is not going to be a one and done deal, that there's the possibility of a sequel, perhaps, if there is enough reception.
Merchandising.
And merchandising, right, to further ahead the
I
whole
will have
concept.
stuffed animals made of my characters. I will have action figures. I actually am doing a giveaway of the first ever Azure, which is the main character, stuffed animal. So we'll announce a winner on January 7th. What the people will have to do is give me the receipt for their pre-order, and we'll just do it
Wait a
lottery style,
minute.
old school lotteries.
Is this a place so you can get a Netflix special produced based on your book? Are you trying to get bought out on your rights?
Kinda, yes. This is part of the reason why I have so many voice actors and celebrities involved in general because of their connections and because,
Yeah.
so it's not just selling the book. There was an idea that I could actually show investors what a cartoon or an audiobook in like phase 2 or 3, what a cartoon would look and sound like, for example. To hear how unique these characters are. You're gonna have characters from Norse and Greek mythology and Japanese mythology, for example. And they don't talk like each other. They sound completely different. They Thor is one of the funniest characters in the whole book because Thor is a dumb oaf, but he's a lovable dumb oaf, you know. And or in this story, and he
Okay.
has a massive crush on Athena, and he's very unhealthy. But, but I'm sorry, am I going on a tangent?
No,
I
no,
love
it's
my characters a
fine.
lot. But anyways, I'm telling you that there are bigger plans for this. And yes, a sequel, for example, looking at the backstory of some of the side characters is very plausible, I feel like. There is
Cool.
one character in particular who I think will probably have a spin-off story.
Wow.
Um, his name is Diamond. And he's basically if Darth well, never mind, I don't want to give it away too much.
Yeah.
He's a Darth
Save the juice,
Vader-like
man.
character.
Save the juice. So
Save the
it's
juice.
pretty obvious though that you are both mentally, emotionally, and financially invested in your work here. So
Yes.
with that said, you've gone through this whole journey, this whole process. I mean, thus far, even in the pre-order phase, like what are some marketing do's and don'ts that you can recommend to people listening on getting started with
Oh, can we?
promotional book?
Ooh, that's a good question because I thought about that, and I think Fiverr was a good place to look at. Fiverr is a place that you and Doug or Dale like to talk about. I call Doug Dale a lot of things, but you've talked about Fiverr in your recent videos, right?
Yeah, everyone uses Fiverr
And I
now.
know that
Everyone uses Fiverr.
yeah, I think Fiverr has some good things to do with it, and some not so good things and wasteful things to do with it. And I would say, um, to be, if I was to do it again, I would be more selective who I choose to promote my book and help me through the process. And for example, the guy who did the original cover was very lazy, and he charged me. I think I know people do covers for like $200, $600, you know, but he did it for 40, which is not the worst thing. But he didn't do a good job. He was very lazy, and he wouldn't do what I asked him to do. And I hate to be that kind of person. I told him I want these two characters to be in the middle of the book,
Right.
of the cover. And he wouldn't do it. He would put them at the bottom because he didn't want to draw attention away from the title. There were people who turned heel on Fiverr and decided that they they were not as talented as they put themselves up to be, and I was now obligated to pay them a minimum of $5 plus $2 service fee um, for nothing really, because I'm never going to use their service or their service again. Um, and I'm being really negative. I'm so sorry,
No, you're not being negative. This is
but
being real. Like
you
there's service
gotta
providers
you,
that
you
suck out
gotta be careful. You gotta be careful who you work with, who you trust, because there are people who are in it only for themselves and for money. And on that note, I want to give you credit because you haven't asked me for money and you've been very helpful. And you had really good information that I've already used. You had a very good advice. In your recent podcast, you said, I don't know if you call it a podcast or stream. In your recent video, you had
there.
said, uh, try to see if you could find Filipino virtual assistants, right? And there are very specific reasons why. It wasn't a racist statement. It wasn't a nationalist thing, because you're both Filipinos too.
Yeah, it's cool.
Filipinos know English.
Yeah.
Filipinos know English. and they work hard, and the money, the US dollar is very valuable where they are, and the conversion rate is very good for them. So you're literally feeding a family for $5 or $7. And I had actually gotten a virtual assistant to look into getting me emails, to start an email list, and to help promote connect me to people on Twitter and other social media platforms. And that's actually gone really well. And I think they've done a very, very, very good for the amount that they're asking price. You know what I mean? So I guess my main point is be careful who you trust with your money, and who you trust with your business, because people there will take advantage of you, not do what they advertise to do, and they will. Okay, I avoided the trap of I would say I avoided the trap of vanity publishing, because vanity publishing is very enticing to me.
What is
You know,
vanity
they have a
publishing?
lot of guarantee. So, well, you know, but for the rest of the audience, vanity publishing are people who promise promise to act like a traditional publishing company, getting your book ready, cover-wise, editing-wise, formatting-wise, on shelves, online, distribution, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, etc. But they ask for you to pay for every print, every copy that's printed, and for everything they do. Some things that traditional publishers won't do. Things that you could actually probably do yourself, like I did. I had a vanity publisher approach me wanting anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for this project, with the promise of being a best-selling author. And as we all know, it's not that it's not that hard to be a best-selling author, at least on Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, and the return on investment on that would not warrant the $10,000 to $20,000 fee. But there are predators out there who do that. So, you know,
I mean, there's some
and
legitimate publishers that offer a decent service, even at a five-figure level. They do exist, but they're far and few in between. So I think some will pose trying to be legitimate when in fact they can't deliver the same results. So yeah, I mean, I would be jaded about that, but just know there are some places like I think Archangel Inc., which Dale L. Roberts recommends, that are completely legit.
you both have talked about it. Yes,
Yeah,
that reminds me of Angel Fire, but I don't want not to get on him. Do you remember Angel Fire?
of course, dude.
Ancient
I'm older
internet
than you.
news.
Of course, I know what Angel Fire is, along with Yahoo
How old
GeoCities.
are you? Are you 39?
I'm 32.
33?
32.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for estimating higher.
Okay, do I look
I'm
31
30,
already?
so we're pretty close.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
All right.
No, you don't. I was just throwing numbers out there. Dude, I told my wife, you don't even want to know what I estimated my wife's age to be when I first met her.
Oh man, that's
So
a death sentence.
don't feel bad at all. Okay.
All good.
My wife is the most beautiful, gorgeous, young-looking young woman I've ever seen in my life. So even I overestimated her age at one time. So don't feel bad that I overestimated yours.
It's
Okay.
fine. It's fine. I
Like
take no
seriously.
offense.
I cross my fingers.
It's totally cool. Awesome. So,
Well, people were telling me that I was, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Oh, I was gonna go on a life story, but I don't think that's relevant. But I was gonna say, oh, by the way, I got your book here too. So
Whoa,
do you,
conjugate.
so
Whoa.
I wanted to show, this is Raw Conjugate Foundations by Jacob Rothenberg.
Yeah.
And I got this maybe 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did want to share that. I forgot it was on my backpack here. It's like, oh, I remember I had to share something with you. So that would be a fantastic book for a beginning powerlifter.
Well, it was
Like
made for
that's
the beginner-ish powerlifter, but I never did the sequels for that, which I sometimes question if that was a good decision or not. But yeah,
mm.
those books actually sell very. They're the most consistent sellers that I've had. That, along with a few others that I wrote, even after 4 years, these things are still selling. So publishing good work that's properly marketed has longevity. Like that still sells.
Do you have do you have a pen name? The reason why I ask is because you sell a lot of books, but I only find your powerlifting books. I think
Yeah,
you had like
everything
three of
has
them
the
or
different
something.
pen names.
Oh, that makes sense. That is why. That was my assumption. Because Dale does that too. I think Dale has a few pen names too.
Yeah,
Because he
but
goes by Dale Lewis for his animated.
yeah, but something I want to do for next year, and I haven't told anyone this. And for those listening in,
Mhm.
if anyone's still listening by now, uh, next year I want to actually create a brand of books using my own last name, not my full name, but my last name,
Rothenberg.
just to be really obvious with who's publishing X books, and try to go for like the bestseller list with like a different series of books, for clout. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
That sounds exciting. I feel very honored to know that. Like you kept that a secret until now, huh? We thought Jacob Rothenberg was like Rocky in Rocky Five, and he was just done.
Oh no, I am not done. This is
You had to
Rocky
fight.
Creed. Okay, I'm reinvented. I am ready to go. I can fight. This is not Rocky Five. This is hell. It's Rocky. Wait, your favorite one's Rocky Four. I'm still in like the Rocky stage, okay.
Rocky
So
Balboa,
I mean, this year I was able to
Mason
hit.
the Lion Dixon.
Yeah. This year I was able to hit a peak of I think 340 on the Amazon BSR list, but it's with a pen name that I will never
300.
reveal. So and
Ah,
that's the thing. Like I've done well this year, but they're for books that I don't want to say that I want to take credit for. So to contrast that for next year, I want it to be a little bit obvious on who's
why
publishing.
are they? Do they have questionable content? No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to
It's
think
yeah,
of
actually, it's questionable. It's with a female pen name, and it's for a
Oh,
pen name where no one would have guessed it was me all along. So I want to keep.
well, it was me, Austin. It
It
was
was
me
me,
all
Justin.
along.
It was me all along. No, no. So yeah, next year I want to be a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
It's like Vince McMahon passed gas in an elevator and came out and said, "Man, no, I'm just kidding."
I love Vince McMahon. He's like one of the greatest promoters. He is
I
one of
do
the greatest
too.
of all time.
Man, he has received, you know what? Vince McMahon has to be one of the biggest creative influences on my life ever.
Really?
And when I think about it, my business model, I want to model, Vince McMahon believes in reinvesting in your product. Vince McMahon tries his best not to pocket everything, and he tries to make his product better every year. Now, you could argue the stories haven't been as good, but the production value keeps going up. And I can greatly respect that. What they do is insane, incredible.
Yeah, and
The WWE, professional wrestling in general.
yeah, and as far as financials, because I do look at their investor financial statements, they're actually very profitable, even more than before, because they're doing streams. They've got subscription packages. They have so many avenues to make money. But even though the product might be questionable for people our age, because we're from like the Attitude Era and around there,
Uh-huh.
it's still doing really well with the younger folks. So it's still a great product and people love it and it's here to stay.
I believe so too. Yeah, I'm so happy to see it continue. I look back at September 11th and the day, what was it, the Tuesday after, so that was the week after they did the first big event in America. It was, I think, was it Raw or SmackDown?
It
One
was
of the two.
SmackDown. I remember that.
It would have had to be SmackDown if it was the Tuesday, right?
Yeah, because
I
they
think
shoot
back,
Tuesday night and then broadcast on Thursday. Well, that's what they used to do.
and now they're doing a very similar thing. everyone is quarantined. Well, not everyone, but it's been a quarantine year, shut down. Everyone's depressed and anxious about COVID, about George Floyd, everything about the election, and the WWE was still doing their thing, and a lot of people were critical of them for that. They're saying, why don't you guys take a break like everyone else? They got the exception because they really do bring a healthy distraction and joy to people's lives, and I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
hope that my book can do a very similar thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. People need some entertainment, whether it's wrestling, boxing, mixed martial arts, still ongoing, and also literature. I mean, books are a great distraction, whether it's through education or entertainment. And I think
Mhm.
people will still need books next year because I don't think the lockdowns are going to go away anytime soon, even with a vaccine. So now is a great time to be a self-published author and get work published and marketed, not just for the money, but for the recognition as well.
Well, I want to say, you and I, we believe in God, and I wanted to give God the glory and say that without Him pulling me through all the hardships in my life, um, especially like 2016 was one of the worst years of my life. And He allowed me to come back and become a champion powerlifter and a record holder and an author and a married to who I think is the most beautiful woman in the world to me in any way. Uh, 4 years later, that's an inspirational story, I feel, and I think I owe that to God. Um, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, like, because I know in my hubris, I like to say, "Oh, I am accomplishing all these things," and I don't want people to think like I've forgotten where I came from, that I've forgotten God. Um, that's
Oh
just something
no,
else I wanted to talk. Are you closing the cast, by the way? Was that what you were doing? I was just wondering.
closing the what?
I wanted. I was wondering if you were closing the podcast because
Oh no,
I
no,
was
no.
hoping to say a bit more about the book and such, and about marketing.
Oh no, the longer the better. Actually, on the contrary, I'm not trying to close at all. Go ahead.
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry, I thought you were making closing statements. That's why. I was going to say that people. I want to show you though. So I've already gotten hate over this book, and it's not even out yet. I have literally gotten hate messages from people saying my character has a hijab, so they must be a Muslim character, and they don't like a Muslim character. I've
Wow.
gotten messages from someone who said, "Oh, your character has shoes that are indicative that she's this, that, or the other thing." Um, and they said, "I hate those shoes." I've gotten people who said my book is already sacrilegious or that it's offensive, it's insensitive, and none of these people have actually read it. They're just basing it on concept art or on things they've read about the book
Yeah.
from the synopsis and stuff. Uh, so imagine in a year from now, if this does go big, which I hope it does, how much hate I will get. I will say though, uh, because I had to tell my boss one of my bosses the other day. My bosses are Christian. My bosses, they have their concerns, and that the material in here is going to be offensive in some way. Oh, it says the internet connection is unstable.
No, we're good. I
Can you
can hear
still
you
hear
guys
me?
here. Yeah.
What I wanted to,
Don't. I would just want to say, man, don't worry too much about what other people think. Like their opinions. I mean, number one, they don't really matter, and number two, they're ill informed on They haven't even read the book. So what does it matter
they
what their
haven't
opinions are?
read the book,
They got to read the book.
but will, I will say, I'm gonna implore people. You look at this, you see that it's in biblical fiction, the biblical fiction category, or you see that it's in religious science fiction, along with books like Left Behind, which it was outselling the other day, which is amazing because Jerry Jenkins, as much as I think his writing is not always that good, he was somewhat of an inspiration to me growing up as an author. I mean, like I read his books on writing. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying, you know. So I wanted to say, give the book a chance, read it from beginning to end, and tell me at the end if you're still offended, because there's stuff in here. I want to say one of the biggest questions. This it's the subtitle is an answer to every question. You can read this if you're of any religious background, any religious faith, any political background. You can be a you can be a libertarian, a Democrat, a Republican, anything. Um, read. What I was trying to get at is this is a book that's accessible by everyone, and it has a powerful message, a human message that I think a lot of people will hopefully take away from it. One of the biggest questions in the book, and it's an answer to every question. That means it asks almost all the big questions of the universe. Where does everything come from? Why do we exist? Where did evil come from? The nature of power, the nature of something, all this stuff. The biggest question in this book, in my opinion, is if uh, that's the biggest question in this book. If you read it from beginning to end, you should be able to answer that question because um, if you have that in your mind, oh, if we discover that there's other life in the universe or that there are other universes, does God still exist? If we see an apparent contradiction in the book of Genesis, does God still exist? If we see, if we can clone a human being and the question of whether or not that person or thing has a soul, does God still exist? Um, one of the one of the things I wanted to confront in this book is the doubt surrounding the existence of God. People delude themselves, and I don't want to say delude. A lot of people in the world are convinced that God can't exist because blank, because people suffer, because people die, because we can make such and such in a test tube or in a in vitro, or we can um,
Because we have the
because we
freedom of
can clone.
choice and not everything is predestined.
Yes, yes, exactly. My book wants to point out in this book, I want to point out that I want to point out to those people who question the existence of God, which, they have their reasons, and I want to be respectful. Uh, I want them to say at the end of the book, though, oh, wait a minute, or oh, hey, or aha, like I didn't think of it like that, you know? For example, I want to do real quick. People will say, oh, Christianity is dumb because they believe that the earth is 5,000 or 6,000 years old. And I'm like, uh, where did you get that from? They'll say, oh, I heard it. Okay,
Oh.
why 5,000 or 6,000? Why can't you tell me 5,000 or 6,000 definitively? And the reason why is because they're basing it on the genealogy in Matthew. And okay, I'll be quick with this. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
um, they'll say, they will assume that everyone after Noah lived only 120 years maximum. They forget the fact that people after Noah lived to be 700, 500, 900 years. So we don't know how old we don't know how long ago the flood happened. They will say that God can't exist because he couldn't have made the universe in 7 days or 6 days. Um, and I will ask the question, um, what do you mean by 6 days? What do you mean by 7 days? What do you mean by days? Because our understanding of a day is the sun rises and the sun sets. But God made the sun on the fourth day. So there were no days as humans understand until the fourth day.
And there's also time dilation with bigger bodies of mass. So this is
Yes.
like something very nerdy to know, but like the size of galaxies, the size of solar systems have time dilation to where time can pass by very quickly relative to their mass. But that's some
Well, because time is
very
relative, and we all know that. I mean, we all forget that, but we all know that intuitively. We know that time is more like a physical thing. It's a phenomenon that occurs because of physical effects of nature.
yeah.
So time is not a thing in and of itself, just like the wind is. The wind is caused by something, so is time. So you and I, not only are we both Filipinos, Asians, and not only are you and I both powerlifters, but you and I are both what many would consider hyper geniuses or super geniuses. You had a very prestigious, quick rise in the scholastic world, from what I understand, right? And
Yeah, I mean, it happened a long time ago, so it's not something that I try to bring up. But yeah, I started college at 11, graduated from UC Davis at 16 with a
wow,
bachelor's. Yeah,
it's
got my
described in
master's.
here. That's how I was.
Oh, it's in there? I forgot I put it in there, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's in
man,
here. It says how awesome you are. Well, it says that you graduate. When did you graduate from UC Davis again?
16.
16?
Yeah, sociology.
Yeah. So when I was 13, and I don't want to brag. I'm just
Oh, go
bringing
for
this
it.
up because
Say,
I think it's good. It's
brag all you want.
marketing.
Go for it.
When I was 13, I was encouraged to take an IQ test along with my classmates, and I had recorded a 181 IQ, and which is very abnormal. It's extremely high.
Yeah,
It's not the highest that can be, but it's extremely high.
too high.
So I ended up getting invited to the White House by George W. Bush, his
Really?
administration. People forget how much they hated George W. Bush.
Wait, but did you get to
People,
meet George?
ever
Did you
since
get to
Trump
meet
became
him?
president,
Did you get to
I
meet him?
actually did not.
Uh,
I did not. I would have loved to because he's my third. Well, I hope I don't get doxxed, but he's my third favorite president. But I know he had his problems and he wasn't always the most intelligent person. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, I didn't meet him because he didn't want to pay for my travels.
oh, okay.
So it would have been a $10,000 trip,
Oh no.
and I decided that I didn't want to.
Jeez.
But it was still an honor. I had that invitation and I lost it in a flood. Um, and I lost copies of my novel in a flood too, that same flood. So it's been very, the thing I was going at is we can think outside the box. You know what I mean? I feel like you and I can think outside the box. Science is supposed to question. And for some reason, science stopped questioning. You know, uh, we saw the cosmic microwave background and we were like, oh, that's what it is. That's all there is to it. We won't see past that probably forever. We won't be able to figure out what's behind it. And I can just think logically, and in the opening paragraph or two of the book, I can give you a hypothesis of what the Big Bang might actually be, or how it how it occurred. It is a little fanciful, but if you take the fantasy out of it and just consider, hey, that's right. Maybe the Big Bang is a white hole. Maybe we are a leaf or a branch from another universe that's older than ours. Not necessarily heaven, but another universe that's older than ours. And that leaves so many huge possibilities that nobody is considering for some reason.
Yeah.
Because they will immediately say God does not exist because the Big Bang. And I think, wait a second. How does God not exist just because you see this thing a long time ago that occurred? And it seems to be the definitive beginning of the universe. Because we can obviously not see past it. We can obviously not see past the event horizon of a black hole. So at those points, the laws of physics break down, and we have all kinds of hypotheses on what could be beyond those things. And I present them pretty interestingly in the book. I'm not saying they're true. I'm saying they could be true.
Right. There's
And
always
if there's a one, I
possibility.
mean, the possibility of God. I think that's probably one of the big themes of this book. The possibility of God and the possibility of heaven. Things which people, for some reason, have decided are not relevant to their lives or relevant to reality. are actually very relevant because people still believe in it. And beliefs are as powerful as anything, as reality, really, when you think about it, in terms of them influencing how people act and what they do. Um, so I hate to be weird. I'm
You're not
just
being.
saying this book is that kind of book. This book will ask those questions. It will say, these characters, Loki, Athena, Susanoo, from other mythologies, they claim to be gods. Okay, they're very powerful. They're alien creatures. They exist. But does that mean that the Christian God does not exist? And then you realize how much of a stretch that is. Like, oh, wait a minute, he could still exist. It's still possible, you know? When you see uh, how these other characters act, how they behave in contrast to Jesus, for example, who is not in your face, like he's like Ben-Hur in this story. Have you seen the older Ben-Hur from I think 1955
I haven't seen the older one now.
with Charlton Heston?
No.
Oh, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. And it had the most Academy Awards until, I don't know if Academy or Oscar, whatever. It had the most awards until Titanic. That's how good of a movie it was.
Okay.
But what they did in Ben-Hur was they showed you not Jesus, his life, they showed you a life of somebody who lived at that time. And that's what this book does. It shows you someone who lives in another universe around the same time, seeing and experiencing all the things that are happening on Earth and in other worlds. I know I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying what if, you
Yeah,
know,
I
it's a
totally get it.
crazy
I mean,
scenario.
this is not the first time, Steven. I've heard this theory, and it's possible. And it sounds a little bit like Dragon Ball Super, but there could definitely be parallel universes that are inaccessible through normal means. I guess we could consider them to be different dimensions. And, with the scope of everything with solar system, galaxy, universe, we could have multiverses. Who knows, right? Who knows? But I mean, that's like some other whole other discussion, but no one really knows like the scope of what is really out here and how it was all created. So I think it's definitely fair to, publish and write about the existence of possibilities and to write stories about them because why not? They're works of fiction. Let's just enjoy it and be entertained by
Their
it.
works
Why
of
not,
fiction,
man?
right?
Yeah.
But how many? Let's look at 1984, because every time we have more surveillance in our society, such as during the Patriot Act, um, we we've always referred to 1984, even with the vaccine and people thinking that there are nanomachines in the vaccine. Not saying if that's true or not. I'm just saying that's a theory that people are afraid of. They always refer to 1984, and this is the power of literature. The power of literature to give us a perspective we might not otherwise have. Tell us, because these fictional things are based on things in reality that are relevant. They come from the mind of real living people who had real living experiences, and we can learn from them. And so with a book like 1984, or even like Lord of the Rings, or any of the books in the Hobbit, for example, they're written by a man who experienced World War One, and he wrote from that experience, that traumatic experience. Um, these are books that are written by real people with real experiences, and they have a lot to tell us. Like I really hope that, like David Hayter said in his video, he said he hopes that this is the kind of book that changes the world, because we really need it, he said.
Yeah.
And I really think it could be that kind of book. Because right now, what I see a lot of is I see a lot of divisiveness. I see a lot of dogmatic thinking. I see a lot of us versus them. I see a lot of people saying we should have had a red wave or a blue wave in the last election. We should have no one from the opposing party in office at all, which I think is stupid. As much of a, I'm just saying. Um, I see too much of that. And I hope that people can read this book and see how the characters who are portrayed as dinosaur-like characters, who are raptors, tyrannosaurs, allosaurs, ceratosaurs, carnosaurs, all those kind of things, how they can set aside their differences and work together against the dragons in this book, and see how they can make their world better. And we can take away lessons from that, I hope.
Dude, this is
I'm sorry, am I totally
no.
inundating
All
you
I'm
with
thinking right now
information?
is, dude, for this amount of content, you
Yeah.
cannot sell this book at $10. Do not sell yourself short here, man. This is like too deep. You gotta mark it up.
Would you be okay? I am hoping that I can sell it for $10 for maybe 3 weeks
No,
on opening.
no, no.
What about just to make it accessible to, well, I guess you could make the argument if I make it accessible to the people who, like friends and family who really want to buy it, they'll probably buy it at any price, right?
There is no difference between $10 and $20 for someone financially speaking. So just charge $20 for it. Like I would buy it for $20.
You would?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I can already
I
tell.
will
Steven,
put that in.
I know that you have a lot of passion in your work. It's just that until you see the actual sales and you have the conviction, you don't yet have the confidence
Uh,
that this can yield a $19.99 price tag. But I'm telling you,
yes.
you are actually worth more than $19.99, but you should start pricing it at that range. Because
Okay.
any reason why someone would
Okay.
buy it for less is BS. I mean, oh, I can afford a $10 book, but I can't afford a $20 book. Makes no sense in this case. Like, just sell it at $19.99, dude.
What about just trying to get it into the best-selling category in the opening? Would that be a plausible reason to have
I
it at
don't
a lesser
think
price?
in the world of economics with price elasticity, I think it's not really that relevant. Just if you should be able to sell this at
Mm.
$19.99. If you can't, there's a
So
problem.
what I understand is price elasticity. With price elasticity, people will purchase certain kinds of products simply because, irregardless of price,
Well,
because it holds its value.
it's kind of like supply and demand. But the thing is, Stephen, if people want this book cheaply, they can just get the ebook version for 99 cents. So why would
Yeah.
you sell yourself short on the paperback? And then you'll need an audiobook version surely at some point too, which will cost a fortune to have narrated, or maybe you can do the narration yourself.
Yes, I think my projection. Well, how much would you project? Because my projections were over $6,000.
Yeah. So how many words is the manuscript?
I don't know if that's. I don't know. I've never made one, so. Um, but it's 190,000 words long. So there's that. Yeah.
It's gonna cost at least $2,000 minimum.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. That's a phase two, phase three kind of thing. I want to do one eventually,
Or you
but
could get your own
obviously not now.
microphone and if you have the time, narrate it yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, that might be more worth
Well,
it.
who was it? Who's that guy who Ripito, Mark Ripito narrated his own books.
Grant Cardone
Those are some
narrated
of
his
my
own book.
favorite narrate.
Dan Locke narrated his own
Yeah,
book. Gary Vee narrated his own book. Dave Ramsey narrated his own book. You can narrate your own book too.
yeah. I think I will definitely consider that. Um, what do you call? I guess I can I come at you with some problems that I've had though with this process that have
Yeah,
been very
sure.
frustrating.
Yeah, let's actually
I've been really
make this our last point. What are some problems that you want troubleshooted? Let's do it right now here.
KDP is run by people who I feel. Nah, I don't want to criticize them.
No, you can say it.
I've had trouble.
If you
I've had
don't say it, I
trouble
will
with
say it.
for, formatting and font.
Yeah,
And I've
KDP support
asked
sucks.
KDP.
They suck.
Yes, okay. I've gotten different information from different people in that same company
They will
who supposedly
contradict each
work in the same
other. They'll
office.
give you bad info, sometimes really dangerous bad info. And when I do live calls with KDP support, I'm having to tell them what to click through to access something. They don't know anything. So that's why we have third-party informational resources for questions like with formatting and such. And it's just best to like get lended advice from people that have experience or the so-called experts in self-publishing to have your problems resolved, unless it's something specific to Amazon.
One of the things that my author copy revealed to me that I was very frustrating was that they had kind of misled me about the kind of font that I could misuse, that
Yeah,
I
I
could
saw you
use.
tried to do
They had
Cambria.
told me
I saw that post.
Cambria is like one of the most. Cambria is a clean font. Everyone, I mean, not everyone, it's not Times New Roman, but it's used pretty widely and it's
Yeah,
highly recommended. I was told I could use it. I was also told I could use Helvetica. But when I used Helvetica, it was it was a jarbled mess and it was missing characters. Then when I used Cambria and I got my author copy, I had to read through, I had to flip through it a few times. I realized they took away all of my italics.
that's
And I know that doesn't sound like much, but
no, it makes a big difference.
but it does in certain contexts. So I was a little frustrated about that. It's I mean Cambria looks nice. I don't know if you can probably oh
Yeah.
those are
Oh, it's
that's
fine.
dialogue, so it
I
doesn't
mean,
look as pretty.
I do
It
my own
looks
formatting
clean.
with Vellum, and I have like a multitude of fonts to choose from, and it's kind of weird you're actually having it, but it is a paperback, I suppose. So that's why it's a little off. But yeah, that is something that KDP could only really answer with fonts, unless someone else has had trouble, maybe like a publishing house with paperbacks.
When I asked them the first, so here's the funny thing. I emailed them and I said, can I use Helvetica? And then I got a response maybe 6 hours later, and it said, "Here is a resource. Here are some resources for you to figure out what kind of font and formatting you can use." They gave me a link, and they said, "Look at it."
They're
It's
not
like,
going to know
okay,
that
I'll
answer.
look at it, and it's the same thing that I was already reading. So I was like,
They
"I'm
don't
going to
know. I
email you
mean,
again and ask you the same question."
yeah, dude, look, anything
So I
that
said, "Can I use Helvetica or not?"
they don't know, because if I don't know the answer, they definitely don't know in this
Uh,
regard. So I don't know what to say about this. For the ebook version, I'm
their
sure they'll let it go.
supervisor,
Yeah, but for your paperback, I
their
don't know.
supervisor responded.
Yeah,
Their supervisor responded and he said, yes, you can use Helvetica. Just expect for there to be the possibility that characters might be missing, that you'll lose italics, that you'll lose all this other stuff. I'm like, so technically you're saying
that
I
it doesn't
can't
work.
because you're going to ruin my formatting if I
Yeah.
do. I was asking if it's practical to use the font or not.
So the answer
Oh
is
my
no.
gosh. And oh my goodness. And another thing is they won't let me into certain categories. And I have continuously protested and told them that I belong in these categories. I've given them excerpts of the book talking about the things that are saying, no, your book does not belong in these categories. And I'm like,
Really?
can I send you a video
No, no,
describing,
no. They don't care about that.
narrating that section so
No,
you
that won't
know?
help. That will not help.
Yeah, so I got a kind of rude email from a supervisor of theirs saying that I have looked. It was very badly written too, basically telling me that I can't be in these categories, and it was like, oh my goodness, you guys aren't even gonna read the things I sent you, are
They're not
you?
going to read
Just
it.
gonna.
They're not going to read it.
Oh my, they didn't even read. I sent them excerpts of the book showing them how I talk about
They don't care.
certain issues
They
and that
don't.
I think I should be in that.
They don't care.
Yeah, so I've had those frustrations. But you know, uh, I'm very happy about how far this book and I have gotten so far. It's only been I put it on pre-order on November 15th. 2020 is December 19th, 2020. It's only been about a month and it has gained steam and it's gained momentum, and the momentum hasn't stopped yet, thank God. And I want to keep it going. Um, so um, I really appreciate. You look like you're getting more and more tired as this pod goes on. I wanted to say I really appreciated chatting with you, and uh, it's been really fun. I think great minds think alike, and I think we've gotten to talk about a lot of great things.
Yeah, we've definitely covered a lot. Like I'm gonna actually check the time. I think we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes so far. It's like a movie's length.
You could have seen a
So
movie.
yeah, I don't know if anyone would still listen at this point, but that being said, man, I just have to ask you, when's the actual release date? When is this going
Uh,
live?
the release date for the Destroyer of Worlds is January 7th,
Oh, wow.
2021.
The day after my birthday.
January 7th.
Okay,
The day
that's
after when?
the day after my birthday.
Oh, well, a happy early birthday. I tried my best to check my Facebook updates and not forget because I
No
tend
worries,
to do
man.
that.
I
I
don't.
have to give people belated birthdays all the time.
Yeah, I don't expect anything.
But if I could get you I would love to get you a copy of this when it's available.
Let me buy the
Would you
copy.
like a copy of?
I would like to buy you
Okay.
a copy from you to help you out, to help with the algorithm. So
That would mean that would mean a lot to me. I mean, I don't know how much science fiction you read, but if you read a lot of science fiction, it will certainly help my bot with
sci-fi is my favorite
and the
genre,
algorithms. Like,
actually. And if it were more financially lucrative, I would have chosen to focus primarily on sci-fi than romance. And because I
mm,
love time travel, I love sci-fi stuff. It's not something that someone like me can make. I think maybe it's I don't know, bad thinking, but it's not something that it's easy to break into and make six figures from. But maybe you'll be the one to do it. Maybe you'll be the one.
well, I hope so. You certainly sound like a super nerd, just like me.
I'm nerdier than most people know because
And I
people
wanted
just
to
see the
say,
powerlifting
this
side
is
of
the
me.
only book where. Sorry, I think we lagged a little bit.
Oh, I was just
I
saying,
was
if
gonna
people
say
probably
that
think I'm this jock, but I'm cutting off. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. I just didn't know it kept lagging, so I wasn't sure. I wanted to say that as a fellow nerd myself, people who love Star Wars and Dungeons and Dragons and video games and that sort of thing, um, and comic books. This is the only book where you'll probably see cosmic dragons fighting against alien dinosaurs who have advanced weaponry and technology, Borg cubes, Death Stars, TARDISes.
Damn, it sounds like StarCraft 3 or something.
This thing is the most over the top work of fiction ever written, ever. I
Okay.
cannot imagine anything being crazier than this.
I will buy a copy. I will read it, and I will do a
You'll
follow-up
have
video.
everything hitting the fan that you could possibly imagine.
Awesome, man.
So I hope you and your audience and my audience listening is excited because I think they're in for a very welcomed surprise when they actually get their hands on this book or read it on their screens. It's one of a kind.
I'm
It's
gonna pick up.
exciting and it's action packed, but it's heartfelt.
Let me get a copy of this when it comes out, and I will be sure to give you a video testimonial or review. And yeah, we'll see how you do, and maybe do a follow-up video on your success when Netflix or Amazon Prime buys you out on your rights.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a collaborative effort. I'm not going to let them buy me out on my rights,
Okay.
and then watch it in 5 years. I do, right?
Yeah.
It's just too much now. I don't want money to be the most. Is money shouldn't be the most. Money is money. Money is money when it's necessary.
Yeah.
I feel the money will come following the passion.
Yes. I mean, in this case, I think so. So just keep
Money
providing
will
great
follow the passion.
writing,
I feel
great
like.
stories, and the money will come. And yeah, money's not everything. I mean, I'm seeing that now. It's not going to make you happier, but you do need it to survive and make a living. So You do got to provide for yourself. All right, man.
Thank you very much, Jacob. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, we will sure to follow it up. The Destroyer of Worlds, coming out January 7. Steven Seril, we will do it another time. Thank you so much. Okay,
God bless you, Jacob. Have a good one.
you too.